All right, welcome to the Soul to Soul Reflexology Marketing Interview Series. I'm your host, Cassie Kelly of On Point Holistic Marketing, and I'm here today with Chantel Lucier, who is a national board certified reflexology practitioner and teacher and Reiki master. Welcome. Would you like to start just by telling us a little bit about your reflexology practice and the clients that you help?
Yes, I would love to start there. I'm a reflexology practitioner and teacher. I also am a practitioner of Reiki, and I teach that as well. I became certified in 2007, and really quickly thereafter, I started to teach. I kind of feel like that's always been in my blood. I was in New York City at the time. That's where I learned reflexology and Reiki. And now I live in Petaluma, California, and my focus is really about educating people to take care of themselves at home, right? So my business is the at-home experience, which I created years ago, way before I knew that we'd be spending so much time at home.
It worked out for you really well.
Oh my goodness. Well, and it's like, it gives us an opportunity to slow down and realize, like, whether I'm at home or not, like, how can I care for myself if I'm not with a practitioner, right? If I have a headache at 10 o'clock at night, or I eat the wrong thing, there are reflexology tools, right? There are meditations, there are Taoist exercises, there's like a world, and to be able to impart that to people and empower them so that they feel they could really take care of themselves, that's all I want to do.
I love that. Now, I'm going to segue off just on that because I feel like sometimes people might be afraid in a way to empower their clients too much with, if they know self-reflexology, are they still going to want to come see a reflexologist? How do you want to talk about that a little bit, or how that empowering them has, played out for you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. The opposite is true, right? It's like the more we really listen to our clients, the more we empower them, you really build this incredible trust and communication. There's no matter how much self-care they do at home, nothing, and the reflexology that they give themselves, it's not going to compare when somebody is working on you, right? So if they trust you and they come back to you, whether it's for self-care tools or weekly sessions, we never have to, and also we just never have to worry about, it's like we have to provide knowledge. If we know something, it's like our duty. we have to share it, right? So
Yes.
holding close to the chest and thinking like, oh, I better, not give them too much because I want them to come to me. That's you don't want to be dealing with that vibration. It's much better to give, and in this way we receive more anyway too.
I love that. Thank you.
Really.
Now, let's see. Did you say how long have you been practicing as a reflexologist?
Yeah, so I was introduced to it in 2001. I was an actor and a singer at the time, and I just needed like a gig, like while I was at graduate school at the Actor Studio, and I was like, I just need to work at a desk, like in a really sweet place. Somebody happened to know this place called Angel Feet in New York City, and I worked the desk there. And so I was introduced to it in 2001 and was able to have sessions regularly.
So you started by receiving reflexology before you even started offering it.
Yes. Yes. And my first sessions were mind-blowing, and many reflexologists can speak to this, right? Like so much of my digestive discomfort went away, my PMS, I mean, there was like an old hip injury, so much benefited from those sessions. Like you almost can't ignore it. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, so to answer your question, I had that introduction and I started to study, it was probably in 2005, and then I became certified in 2007. So more than 10 years ago, moons ago.
So you've got lots of experience in this.
I love it. Yes. I feel so grateful. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about clients finding you. How do you feel like most of your clients are finding you these days?
Yeah. So,
or maybe even by these days, like the pre-COVID or the during COVID, you can kind of talk either way here.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's the same and really different. So I've been really lucky when I lived in New York. I started at the desk, and then I started traveling. I was a singer and I did all this kind of stuff on the road. And I was blessed to begin to run Angel Feet too. I was able to run that company for about 10 years. And during that time, I was able to write articles. I wrote something for Goop, and that kind of put me out there. Because of my acting background, I attracted a lot of people in that industry. So they might use my name. Howcast contacted me about doing how-to videos. So those are really well circulated. I did TV. I mean, there was just a lot back then that really helped me get clients. And to this day, people see those Howcast videos and they reach out to me and want a session or want to take a class. So I feel really grateful that I have that still working for me. Nowadays, you know, I'm in Petaluma. I still have that energy and want to communicate and put myself out there, but it's different now, right? So before I would do a blog on reflexology, for instance, or do a TV spot or a video. Now it's like I do my little reflexology minutes that I put out there every once in a while. It's much more like tame, right? Because I'm trying to take greater care of myself so I can take greater care of people.
Yes.
So right now I feel like it's a matter of getting in touch with who I am and what I offer, and then being really, really aware and sensitive to the people that I meet. And are those people that I can that I can help in some way, that I can teach in some way. So for me, it's a different, it's not that it's a different focus, but it's definitely, it's a different kind of skill. It's really tapping in more to my intuition, where I am, getting in conversations. It's much more on almost like a community level, I would say. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Now you mentioned you're putting out some marketing or some little like reflexology minutes. Where are you putting, how are you putting those out, or where are you doing those too then?
Yeah. So, so I do them on YouTube. Since COVID, I did a wellness, I do things called wellness webinars. And those are, I'm a big fan of 12 months, a 12-month package, a 12-month season, because I feel like then we can really like track ourselves and see results. So my focus is really on helping people within that time frame. The reflexology minute, I haven't actually done one since COVID, which is interesting. I've been focusing so much more on, again, like how can I bring people in a classroom together so that they feel like I just don't want it to be a minute, right? I want to have real time with people so that they can walk away better, like with a fuller tool bag, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and on that note, how, like, are you splitting your time between reflexology these days versus teaching? And are you teaching more reflexologists or teaching more individuals? Kind of where, how are you breaking all that out?
Yeah.
Priorities.
You know what? It's both. So I'm an ARCB certified, you know, continuing education provider. So even though I'm doing self-care classes, a lot of reflexologists come for the credits, I imagine. But also, and this was something I used to always say, I teach reflexology and Reiki to the everyday person. Like that was like, I don't use that term anymore. But what I realized is reflexologists are everyday people. Like we have stress, we get headaches at night. We need that self-care tool too. So I have a feeling it's kind of half and half. I just taught an intensive intuitive Reiki class, and I had, you know, there was a reflexologist in there. There was somebody who does more psychic work. There was a mom who just wanted to like take care of herself and her family. There was a yoga practitioner. I mean, it was like such a diverse group of people. So I would say it's kind of split down the middle. And as far as my weeks go, I teach a reflexology class once a week for an hour every Sunday. And that's in person, social distance and what have you.
And this is to reflexologists or more lay people?
No, this is like lay people. It's at the center that I work at called True North. So people come to True North to help with cancer, diabetes, hypertension, getting off medications, autoimmune stuff, want to lose weight. I mean, myriad reasons. So I teach them the
Every
reflex.
week too, you're teaching it like this is like a different people every week, or this is like a series?
It's different people all the time. And at the end of a class, I give them a manual. And on the last page, I give them the ARCB side if they want to find a practitioner. I encourage them to reach out to me. They're from all over the world. So especially if they're in the States, I do the research for them, and I recommend them. If someone's in Seattle or Ohio or Florida, I'll pair them up with somebody just so they can have continued support. Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
and
great. So you're,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, so you're teaching them, here's what reflexology is, how to do some yourself. But at the end of the class, they're all saying, help me, help me find a reflexologist.
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing because my focus is on teaching them and empowering them to not need me. But at the end of the class, they want me. They want reflexology. And I'm like, well, all right, let's do that too. But keep that tool bag full. And so I have them, I give reflexology twice a week, and I do it there, and it's a very safe environment. And then I have 2 days a week that I do my long distance Reiki sessions, and those are on the phone. I have one business day that I just dedicate to doing my e-blasts, refining my contracts, reaching out to students. I have a day off where I do nothing. I have never had that in my life, and that feels really life-giving. It makes it so I can give more. So my weeks are definitely like very well orchestrated.
Yes, I love your structure. I think that's great. I think
Yeah, I'm a
especially
structured.
that you're protecting that day for you and the rest. And
I know so many people that don't do it, and I didn't do it forever. I've never done it. I literally I started to do it with COVID. Otherwise, I was working 7 days a week. I used to work 17-hour days in New York. I mean, I was a nut.
so you didn't even start this until COVID started.
I didn't start having a day off since COVID. That was the first time. Well, and at the beginning of COVID, I had every day off. But now that I've like cultivated my business and seeing how to work with it now, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep that day.
Yes. I want to actually stop at that. You've changed your business a little bit because of COVID, and I think probably that's something that might be great for other people to hear. If you want to talk just a little bit about what you've done and how you've pivoted that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's changed the most is I used to give a lot of reflexology. I worked at a place in San Francisco twice a week, Santa Rosa 4 times a week. I did my personal practice in Petaluma and other parts of Sonoma, so I was constantly going. And now, my work has a lot more to do. I'm doing a lot more Reiki, long distance Reiki, because those are over the phone. So life-giving. I feel so grateful that I've gotten to dive more deeply into that practice. It influences my reflexology. But the main thing is, and I've been teaching for years, but it's different now because I used to, and I miss this so much, I used to go travel a lot. So I would go to New York a few times a year, see my regular clients from back then. I would teach classes in Austin and New Orleans, wherever there was either, there are a variety of different kind of people. There were maybe, yogis that would have a class of 30 and they wanted to learn reflexology to get to themselves, or even maybe to do during Shavasana, Pilates instructors, massage therapists, certainly. I mean, that's something, right? It's something we see where spas offer reflexology, and they're not reflexologists that are giving it. And well, we could talk a little bit about that later. I have a strong opinion about reflexologists if they want to work in the spa industry, like how they can do that. I think it's really it isn't for everybody, but it's important that the people in that industry the people that are coming to spas get real reflexology. But again, it's the teaching. I'm just not traveling as much. I'm like Zoom master. I teach the intensive course. I have my wellness webinars, which are once a month. In January, I begin the 12-month package that I started to tell you about. And so it's just everything is online. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's crazy how we can go from so much in person and find ways to make it online.
And so, right, reflexologists can do that. I mean, many of us have learned self-care or have different backgrounds into what we, I have a Reiki background. I've, done myriad other kind of things that I bring to my practice. So, reflexologists can still see their clients and impart, knowledge to them. They can also, I know that there are certain states, reflexologists that feel comfortable going to people's homes or continuing to work in their spaces. That's good too. Yeah. In the park, I give reflexology in the park down the street. It's a beautiful park. Yeah, so I give that to a few clients. Yeah.
Yes. One thing that definitely excited me to talk to you was about how much you use education and like telling people, teaching people about reflexology and how important that is. Would you like to share maybe some tips for people who aren't yet doing that, and maybe to help them feel more comfortable or inspire them to make it a priority?
Yeah, I think it's, education to me is like the most important part of my life. And what I mean by that is I always want to be learning. I want to be unlearning certain things. I want to relearn or revisit certain things. So I feel very passionate about that. If somebody does it well, not everybody wants to teach. Not everybody feels comfortable doing that. Some people really just like to give a session and maybe might not even say anything. I'm in the habit at the end of my sessions of providing self-care. I'm like, all right, this is your homework. This is what I want to, send you off with. But I feel like if there's any part of you that feels like you want to do it, to be able to kind of place aside that part of yourself that thinks, oh, I don't know enough, or I don't know if I don't know if I have enough information. I don't feel comfortable. I'm being in front of a group. I get nervous. Like all those kind of things. If we could just like kind of hold it and like put it to the side for a moment, and know that what is more important is actually the goal, which is to teach somebody something. I think if people are interested to definitely move the things aside that keep them from doing it, if that makes sense, and to go forth.
I love how you're kind of saying, like to be able to put those things aside, but then to also accept that for some people it's bigger than they're just something that's getting in your way and it's not the right fit for you. But if it could be the right fit for you and it's just your head game or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like it's a matter too of like knowing who you want to serve, right? Being really specific about who you want to serve, and it'll make it easier if you know kind of who you are and what you want to give, right? So if you're somebody that lives in a small town, you don't want to do Zoom, but you really care about your community, right? You probably have a church you go to, even if it's on Zoom, right? Maybe you work at a farmer's market once a week. I mean, whoever you are, your clients or potential students are there. And I think if you're really aligned with what you love and who you want to serve, it'll be much easier, right? Like if you're all about community and your church, you're not going to want to do a TED Talk, right? It's very possible that's not going to be your interest. But if you're around your people, it's going to be so much easier, right?
Oh yeah, and that's definitely a great place to start where you're going to be comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a little. Start small. Or maybe you're somebody that just, doesn't want to work in groups, but you want to teach people and you're really good one-on-ones. You could cultivate a one-on-one relationship. I call it teams of two. I love getting two people together and facilitating an educational experience for them that they could practice on together, right?
Oh, I
So
love
figuring
that.
out what you like to do. For me, ultimately, it's all about the group. I just feel like we learn so much. There's so much accountability. Accountability is huge for me. I need it. So the group for me is, that's what I like. Yeah.
About how many people do you usually have in your groups then?
It varies. At True North, and it's changed a lot since COVID for sure. That class that's in person at True North it used to be a full room of 30 people maybe, and now it's like 10 to 15. It's been 15 recently. I keep my classes online pretty small because I want people to have individual attention. For me, the Adam experience is about creating space where people feel really supported and really held, not fixed, not judged. And if it's too many people, then I can't really hold space for everybody, because I want them to feel, like I'm with all of them. So a really good number for me is 6. I love 6 people. 10 is also good. With my monthly wellness webinars, it's interesting because a lot of people will get that series, but I record them so they watch on their own time. So there's actually many more people that participate in those, but the people that actually come on a Sunday at 10 a.m., it's sometimes a really small group. It'll be like 2 to 10 people, right? Sometimes like 4. So a lot of people are watching on their own time.
That's nice too, that they have the flexibility with the digital formats to do that too.
Yes, the time we live in. I mean, we're so lucky. We're so lucky we live in this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, are you, one thing I think too, maybe when people think about educating, there's probably a difference between teaching a class and giving a presentation. Now, are you giving free presentations? Are you teaching paid classes, or both? Or how are you handling all that?
Yeah, so well, right, there, we have to differentiate, right? Because there are practitioners that maybe are retired, or they live in a 2-person income household. They don't need to make a living from it. But if you're like me, I have to make a living. This is my career, right? So I have to charge. And I think there's a lot we have to navigate through, usually in our childhood, on how we feel about money and how we talk about money, and how much we value ourselves and what we do, and then being able to ask for it without apology. It's definitely like really fun, good work that most of us need to do. So I keep things like the Reflexology Minute or those Howcast videos. All of that is like free information. So that's free. My monthly wellness webinars I keep very inexpensive, because I want that forum I can serve a larger number of people, because I'm not doing the individual work as I do with the 12-month package, where it's like I want a smaller group. And with the intuitive Reiki classes that I also like to be very small, these, yeah, they're all paid. They're all paid. So the monthly wellness webinar, I do it in such a way, I want people to attend the 12. So those 12, which are once a month, is $220. So it comes out to like $18 a class, which is like a yoga class, right? So it's affordable. People, right? And if they want just an individual one, it's $25. So there are people that can only do free. So free's out there. There are people that can afford $25 or $220 for the year, $18. So there's those people. And then there are people that can afford a little bit more and maybe want to become certified in Reiki 1 and 2, right? So in that way, that's priced a little bit higher. And then the 12-month package is very, even though it's a group, it's very one-on-one. So that ends up being the most expensive. So I kind of have like different tiers, because again, I want to be able to, I don't want anyone to ever feel turned away. So I like the idea that I have different options for where someone's at.
And what are you doing to promote your different classes these days? What are you finding is the best way for you to get the word out?
I feel like this is ever evolving. Got any advice? It can be tricky. I feel like it's a matter of, figuring out what you want to do it and see how it goes, right? Mm-hmm. I like to send like a monthly, e-blast to people I know. So I'm in the habit of getting emails if I teach a class. If I give a session to somebody and they like the work, I'll ask them if they want to be on the email list. So I'm constantly building my email list.
Wonderful.
I just sent out, actually right before we got on this call, I just sent out one, announcing that on Sunday there'll be the new season. So it's like, okay, I have that. I have Facebook. I have a personal and a private, not a private, a group page, right? Mm-hmm. And then I do Instagram. I mean, I used to do LinkedIn. I do all of that kind of stuff. And then just talking to people. I just met somebody recently. I saw a girlfriend the other day, and she was like, oh, I'm going to go get my hair cut. And she had a great time with this woman. And she was like, you guys just have to know each other. And the woman ended up going to my website and said, oh my God, I've always wanted to learn Reiki. I want to take your next class. So it's like, again, like random things for me, it's a matter of just being really, really aware of the people that are around you, right? It's like attracts like. The people that are around you are the people you're supposed to serve. They're the people that we're going to learn from each other, right? It's not by accident that you and I met, right? It's none of this is by accident, so, right? So like tap in and be aware that your people are around you. And then how you go about doing it. For me, I like to, I don't mind being online. I like that exchange, but for the reflexologist that is all about community, I mean, she may never need to have a website. She may do old school flyers, right?
Right.
Like knock on doors. So I think it's a matter of, again, figuring out who you are. There's a, I'm not going to say the quote exactly because it has a word in there. It's not a bad word, but it's said in a derogatory way. So I'll switch it out. It's a movie with Robin Williams, Emma Thompson, and Kenneth Branagh, and it's called Dead Again. It's an awesome movie. Have you seen it?
I don't think so. I don't
Okay,
even know if I've heard of it, but
you have to write that down.
I will. I'll have to check this out.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Anyway, there's a scene in it where Kenneth Branagh is with Robin Williams, and he keeps on looking at Robin Williams' like pocket because he has cigarettes in it. And Robin Williams is like, "Do you want a cigarette?" And Kenneth Branagh's like, "No, no, 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 no." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "No, no, no, I'm trying to quit." And Robin Williams says, "People who are trying to quit are just people who can't commit. The trick is to figure out who you are and to be that." And so I feel like that's it. Figure out who you are and be that, right? The people that want to take classes from me, or the people that want to take classes from you, to anybody watching this, right? It's because of who you are, right? Are you someone that's just like really down to earth and you say it as it is, right? You don't want to hide that because then the people that need that are attracted to that, are going to come to you. So what I offer and who I am as a person, the more I can be my best self, right? And for me, it's all about, I want people to feel heard, held, and supported. That is like my mission in life, and ultimately empowered, right? So for me, those are the people that I'll probably attract, right?
Right.
So yeah,
People need that. I love that. That is so true.
such a great phrase, such a great line in a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's such a great way to think about the marketing, about being true. You know what I mean? That different people need different help and they need different types of people to connect with, you know? So it's like, you're not going to be right for everybody, but you're going to be right for those people that really need you.
Yes. Hallelujah. It's so true. Oh my God. It's so true. That's why we never have to worry about too many reflexologists, right? Or somebody else taking our field, right? We can't operate from fear in this way. We have so much to give. And also, if somebody is new to reflexology or new to teaching, if you're like, oh, I've never taught before, I'm going to do this little class, you know, in this community center or whatever it is, or I'm going to do my first webinar. The people, and I believe this 100%, the people who are going to take your class, the people who are your clients, need exactly what it is you have to offer. You never need to be worried about not being enough because you found each other because you're the right energetic match. So you're always enough if you're in front of like you and I are lined up right now. Like it's almost like, God, if we could like just get rid of all that fear and uncertainty and feeling like we're less than, I mean, that's it. We got to get rid of that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I definitely agree. It's like, and the more people that are out there talking about reflexology, I think it's just going to help too. Cause I definitely think that, you know, half the battle is a lot of people don't know what reflexology is or don't understand it. So again, more reflexologists just means more people are going to experience it, to tell their friends and learn about it. So definitely.
You know how many people are on this planet, right? There's so many people on this planet. It's like there's never going to be, we never have to hold it close to our chest.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't want us to forget to go back to your spas. You had something you wanted to say about working in spas?
Yeah. So when I moved back to California, I was born in San Francisco. So I moved to Sonoma County, which is nearby. So I'm close to my mom and dad now, which is awesome. I decided to look at different places that were not offering reflexology. And what I did is I created a package my bio, my resume, what I've done. I included that awesome article. I think it was written by Karen Ball about reflexology not being foot massage.
Oh, yes. I know which one you're talking about.
Right? I included that. And I went to these different places and I said, I know you don't offer reflexology. I specialize in it. I want to serve your community. I think it's going to help you. And I talked about it from a business standpoint, how it would only help their numbers, that we could try it out at first, put me on one day and see how it worked, if we did a certain marketing campaign. And so I became somebody who, so that spa then could say, not only do we offer reflexology, we offer real reflexology. We know all these other spas are saying they do, but we have a certified reflexologist here. So that's how I feel like that's a really good way to sell yourself to a spa. Mm. If you want to be in that environment. Some people don't. Ultimately, it wasn't right for me, but it was a perfect place to land because I'd moved here and I was like, I need a job, and I had my business, but I didn't know anybody. Like, I didn't have any clients. All my clients were in New York. Yeah. Oh, and it was interesting too, because there was a place in San Francisco and it used to be called A Piece of Peace. And it was started by a reflexologist. And she actually, and I have it here somewhere, she's the one who did one of the reflexology decks, right? So this place, it later became Noe Valley Integrative Bodywork. She sold it to a massage therapist. And so when I met this woman, I told her, I said, it looks like you don't have any reflexologists on staff. And yet, like, all of your all of your Yelp talks about that you give reflexology. Like, I'm a reflexologist. Can you walk? And she's an incredible human, so smart, so professional, such a great, just a really a powerful woman, and really caring about, her environment. It's a little place in Noe Valley, temporarily closed because of COVID. So she's figuring out what it looks like as we move through this new time in California anyway. Yeah.
Let me backtrack just a minute to where you talked about moving. And again, you had an established business and everything was going great. And then you moved and now you're starting at zero again.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what?
I feel like that's something that happens. And it's really hard when you're used to having the full client base. Oh, you're going to say something though.
Oh my God. Yeah. You're just, no, I was just thinking because I just mentioned like spas, but it actually doesn't have to be spas. If you're interested in working with women who are trying to get pregnant or infertility or people with, diabetes or cancer, or like there's a certain group of people that you want to help, you do research and find out the clinics near you. That was something that I also looked into is I was like, okay, do I want to work with women trying to get pregnant? Do I want to work with people who are going through cancer treatments or, who are stabilizing after a certain kind of post-surgical procedure? And so once you figure out like the community you want to serve, you could just do that same thing, being able to talk to someone and say, I see you don't offer reflexology and I really want to bring it to this community. And then you can offer all the beautiful, we need more research, but there is research on most of these things. You can at least say, I see, it has helped with people in this condition, right?
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
now,
did you do that? Did you reach out to some of these places and did you get good feedback and were they interested?
I only did, I decided there were 2 spas that I wanted to, one, I didn't have a car when I moved here. So I chose a place that was walking distance from me. So there was that one. And then I chose a place in San Francisco because I knew once a week I wanted to visit San Francisco to see my mom and dad. And I knew that I can travel there by bus or train. And so those 2 places hired me. Yeah, I had really good results.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it worked. And then when I moved from that home, that was near the spa that I was at in Santa Rosa, I moved to another area and then I found another spa that I thought, was in walking distance. And then it just like happened that where I was living was 7 blocks from True North, which has been, such a gift to be able to work with that community who are like hungry to heal,
Mm-hmm. That is wonderful.
I totally hijacked that conversation. What was your question? I'm sorry.
I don't even remember exactly. I think you answered what I was looking for. It's all good. Yeah, I wanted to see if I forgot what I wanted to. I feel like half my questions you answered them before I could even ask them. So you've been doing awesome.
Oh, boy.
Maybe if you have any kind of like one last tip for somebody who's not feeling that they're getting enough clients right now, what would be your first piece of advice?
I would say, you know what, I mean, it's personal work, but I think the first step is figuring out who you are, like who you are, what are your strengths. Um, you know, I remember taking, have you ever taken the Gallup Strengths test?
I like, is it the Strength Finder one? There's a lot of them out there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those personality kind
Yeah.
of tests, but what it focuses on is your strengths. So oftentimes we think like my strengths are working in groups. Like I need people. I need to relate, right? So I write books. I can write the book, but as far as like publishing it or whatever, I need an editor. I need accountability. I need a partner in crime, right? I know that about myself. So I could do one of two things. I can focus on my strength and be like, I need people, I need support. I'm gonna surround myself with people that could help me with what I don't know how to do. Or I could focus on my weakness and be like, oh, I have a really hard time doing this website thing. And I could spend years trying to like create a website when it's not my strength, right? So realizing what your strength is, do it. And the things you're not good at, hire somebody. So I'd say that's the first thing, is know who you are, what you offer to the world. In this way, clients will be attracted to you, right? The more we deeply know ourselves or what we want, it will come. It's a fact, right? Um, and then I guess it would be to have your marketing really reflect who you are. I think it's, you know what, it really is about like, it's like figuring out who you are and being it. It's a quote from the Robin Williams movie. I think if we start there, that is the best place to start. Once you know yourself and you start getting hit to like who those clients are, who your ideal client is, right? And what you want to offer to the world, that is important. But figuring out who you are first is like the first step. You know, a coach told me or asked me, she said, if you had 48 hours to, if you're going to die in 48 hours, you were told you have 48 hours to live, what would you regret not having done? And for me, what I realized is I would regret that there's this one person in my life that I feel I don't really listen to, right? That I don't show up for them in a way that I know that they need. I would regret not putting my ego aside and being present for someone who matters so much to me, right? And then from that knowledge, I started to think about like, okay, well, what if then I had 48 weeks? What would I create? Right. And then I started thinking like, okay, I'd have like a group of people come together. We'd sit around a table. We'd have conversations. People would really feel held and heard, right? This is my vision, my mission, and this is all I care about, is bringing people together, a diverse group of people together that feel held and heard. And then if I have 48 months or 48 years, what would that look like, right? You could just go down the rabbit hole. But I think if we start with a question like this, it can really kind of put us in contact with who we are, what we deeply need, and it'll make sense with reflexology. At first, it was like, that has nothing to do with reflexology. I want to make sure that that person feels held and heard. But it does, because I teach reflexology and I want to give that to people. So I would say that would be my advice, is to really get to know who you are, find out your strengths, whatever your weaknesses are, don't like let somebody else do them, ask for help. If you aren't operating with a lot of money, figure out another way. You know, there are different exchanges, right, that you can do
Yes.
on your strengths. Yeah.
Oh, that I feel like that is like the most perfect advice. I always feel like when people say like, what's one thing I can do? I'm like, well, like where are you living? Because a lot of that makes a difference too, if it's a big market versus a small market. And again, yeah, what you're comfortable with. I hate anything that feels like sales. Like I'm a marketing person. I love marketing, but I do not like the fear of rejection is like, so I don't know what it is, but like I tried to sell ads for my college newspaper, and I learned very quickly this was never going to be my career path. So yeah, like some of the advice about calling up to other places, I'd be like, I don't know, you know, but like there's so many other places where I am comfortable. And I think that's the same for everybody. You got to find what you're comfortable with and how can you be the most true to you? I think that's great. And then that's going to sell it.
Yeah, you totally hit it. It's like, well, and you do marketing, right? So like the people that are going to be attracted to you are people that also kind of don't like to sell, don't want to come off as being someone who's selling and being pitchy. So like, yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, you know what your strengths are and what you don't want to be. And yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, if is there anything else you want to make sure we talk about that's important or passionate for you or?
No, I mean, I guess it's all about the same thing. I'd be repeating myself. Just that, you know, we can get to know ourselves, you know, learn how to take care of ourselves, learn how to take care of each other. I have like a tagline, I guess, you know, on my website somewhere that says, like taking care of ourselves, each other, and the world, right? It's like if we could begin small and really, you know, cultivate this love of ourselves, then we can like be home with our kids or our partners better, and then we can come out into the community, right? It's like that Maya Angelou thing, right? Like if you smile, that's how you create peace. If you smile at someone on the street, they're going to end up smiling. Maybe not at first. They might kind of look at you funny because they're like, she just smiled. But they're going to pass that on. So yeah.
I think you've had so much wisdom for everybody today. So thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
My pleasure. It has been, yeah, I really, really, I'm so grateful we got to have this time. Yeah.
So glad we could connect on this. So thank you. Gonna